Well, hello everyone. My name is Susan Gove, and I'd like to welcome you to Your Center Success. And today's webinar is on 4 keys to getting difficult staff members to cooperate. Now, I bet this is one of your biggest pains in owning or being a director of a child care center, and one that you probably never thought you would have to worry about when you were planning to go into this profession. I'm going to help you today with some tips, some quick tips and systemic tips of how you can address this problem and change your folks from difficult to cooperative, and maybe even more. I'd like to get to know you a little better. If you look in the bottom corner of your screen, the bottom left corner of your screen, you'll see a box that says type here and press enter. Would you please tell us where you're calling from, the city, state, and country that you're joining us from for this webinar. Give us a way to get to see who all's attending. So we have Tracy from Yorktown, Texas. Welcome. Kate from Tennessee. Annie from Massachusetts. Rosangelica from New Jersey. Another Annie from Maryland. Shannon from New York. Alexandra from New Jersey. Amanda from Massachusetts. Kimberly, are you in the warm? Oh, you're in Miami, so you are in the warm part of Florida. I think a lot of us are jealous. It's pretty cold around the country. Deborah, live from New York City. Great. Well, welcome everyone. I would like to also invite you to think of this next hour as your time, your spa for the day, your mental spa for the day, to help you get some new ideas, some confirmations, some hugs, and some ideas for moving forward. So I sent you a workbook. If you got that, it's great. If you didn't, that's okay. You can just get a piece of paper and follow along. I think Ellen's going to put a link up on the messages so that you can grab it if you want to. But I wouldn't spend time doing that. I would really just take your time to turn off your email, turn off your phone, and take this time just for your own professional development. Now, let me tell you one more thing. I've been teaching for a long, long time. I've been doing webinars for a very short time. And what I can tell you is that when I'm a teacher, I am really looking at my class, my audience. I want to see, are you getting what I'm saying? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Are you bored? Are you confused? Are you engaged? Are you taking notes frantically? I have no way to do that when I'm just staring at myself in a camera. So I'm going to ask you to participate as much as possible today. And you'll have opportunities to continue to write in messages throughout the day and to use emojis and sort of let me know if I'm on the right page, if I'm meeting your needs. That's the only way I'll be able to give you the greatest webinar that you're expecting. Okay? I will tell you that we are recording this and that anything that you write in the chat box, I may repeat, just like I said, your first name and the city and state you were from, but I will never use your last name. And when you stay for the whole webinar, I will send you a link so that you can watch this webinar again. You'll be able to view it again. You will not see the chat box on the side. That will never be shown in a recording. So you can feel free to be very candid in what you write. Nobody will ever see that again. It goes away once I turn off this webinar. Okay? So who am I? Well, again, my name is Susan Gove, and I own Your Center Success. We're just a little over a year old. And I decided to do this webinar and this web-based training because it's so much easier to reach more people. Now, I'm at the point in my career where I understand that I get to do whatever makes me the happiest. And what makes me the happiest is working with people who care about early childhood education. The most critical years of a person's life. These are the years when the syntax is connecting in the brain. Those are the diaper years. Those are the years when your body decides how able you will be to learn and how able you will be to connect to people, the bonding that you're creating in these early childhood years. So I'm doing early childhood work because it is my passion. It's been my work throughout my career, and I love it. But you know what else I care about? I care about people being passionate about their work. And I know that we've seen that really dwindle. People just go to work or go to work occasionally, don't always go to work. And, you spend more waking time at work than you do in any other part of your life. So shouldn't we want people to be passionate about what they do and know that the work that they do is making a difference? Those are my two big reasons for doing this. So today I want to help you to be able to show your staff how really important their jobs are. They are the foundation of children's lives. In some cases, you spend more time awake with a child than their own parents do. Sobering thought, isn't it? And I also want to help you show staff how to be passionate about their job and about making differences in children's lives. I bet you go home and you talk about your work, and it's a very, very difficult job. There is nobody who's in this profession that won't agree. It's one of the toughest jobs in the world. But I'm wondering, do you ever feel alone? Do you ever feel like you really don't have anybody to talk to that understands what you're saying, that doesn't think you're just going in and playing with kids all day long and coming home? And how could that be tiring? Go ahead and write a comment in the chat box. Do you feel like you can't really talk to maybe your owner or maybe the people under you about how difficult the job is? Or maybe you don't want to talk to colleagues because they're your competitors, or you feel embarrassed. I had somebody say to me yesterday, I don't want to tell anybody how hard this is and how I'm struggling because I should know these things. I should know how to do this. I should know how to work with staff. How do you feel about this? Tell me in a chat box. Do you agree that you feel alone sometimes out there? Come on, Shannon, Alexandra, Amanda, Kimberly, Deborah, everybody else. Annie, tell us, how do you feel? Do you feel alone? Shannon, you agree. Okay. Anybody else? You can do a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever's easiest for you. Help me out here, folks. I don't know if I'm on target. Remember, you got to help me. Tracy says, yes, because I feel like I should know how to handle the situations that arise. However, they are difficult at times. Kate says, I feel lucky that I have some board members that are very supportive, but not everybody understands exactly what it's like. Alexandra, I agree. Often people don't understand how challenging some days are. And Annie says, yes. The other Annie says, I feel like my job is to stay positive and not bring others down. Amanda, I'm lucky enough to have a supervisor that understands. Outside of that, I feel lost when she's out of the office. Deborah, I have support from my family who is also in the same business. That helps. Rosangela, I agree. I don't feel many people understand the daily challenges. And Kimberly, working with supportive staff makes it easier. Okay, so what I'm going to say to you right now is, look at all the people who have written in. They know. You can talk to them during this webinar. You can talk to them on the side. You can talk to them with me. They know. They are your peers right here and now, struggling with the same things that you're struggling with. So If we make this more than me talking at you, if we make this a conversation among early childhood professionals, all of us who are on this webinar right now, you'll learn more because you're participating. You'll help others because you're giving your ideas. You'll help me because you're instructing me in your needs. And you'll realize that many of us share the same thoughts and needs. So don't be shy. And now I want to make this really personal for you. I want to make sure that I address every single one of your issues. And I'm going to tell you right now that I'm not going to hang up from this webinar, even if we go over the time allotted, which is an hour or so. I always run over. And I will answer every single question that you have. So if I don't answer it as we go along, write it down, and I will answer it before I hang up. Every single person's every single question. So my question is, what would you do if you had extra time and energy because you weren't dealing with staff problems? Write that in there. And I'm going to say to you, I challenge you to keep track of how much time you spend with staff problems. Do it for a week or even a month. If you find in 1 week that you're spending about a half an hour a day, I know you're probably there 9 or 10 hours, so a half an hour a day is 5% of your time. That's 2.5 hours a week. That's 10 hours a month. And maybe a half an hour is on the low side for you. Maybe it's an hour, so that would be 20 hours a month. Do you really have that kind of time to waste on staff? Kimberly says if she wasn't using time with staff problems, she would be working with supportive staff to make it easier. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, that's the answer you already. Okay, so write in, what would you be doing with your extra time and energy if you didn't have staff problems? I don't see anybody writing in yet. Kate says, wow, I'd get so much done working, programming, planning out the next few months, working with community partners, and being more organized. Good thoughts, Kate. So you definitely realize that you don't have time to do all that you want. Shannon says, I'd be spending more time in the classroom with the kids and planning activities. Yes, that's why we go to work every day, isn't it? For the kids. Amanda says, I'd be making a very hands-on enrichment program for the kids. Doesn't it break your heart when you get in the car at the end of every evening and you have this to-do list, and unfortunately the kids always end up at the bottom, and you say to yourself, I didn't get to the kids today. I promise it's going to be at the top of the list tomorrow. And then what happens? Alexandra says, planning, being more organized, being more attentive to lesson plans in the classroom. Right, that's so important. We think we know what our 10 or 25 or 50 staff members are doing, but you don't really know till you go in and spend some time. Tracy said she'd stay caught up with her duties, be able to observe more, and just enjoy your job more. I could use an assistant in the office so I could get out into the center more. And Rosangela says, I'd be spending more time looking for enrichment programs and observing classroom activities. Okay, so I'm convinced, and I hope you're all convinced, that there's life beyond staff problems and plenty of things for you to do. Deborah says, I'd have more quality time with my family and mental clarity. So you wouldn't be spending 10, 11, 12-hour days, right? Right, Deborah? Do you recognize that every day that you're dealing with staff issues that are inappropriate is just a plain waste of your time? It's a total waste of your time. And when you waste your time, you're actually stealing time from the children. So those staff members are pulling you away to waste time, and that steals time from the children. That's heartbreaking, isn't it? I want you to read this statement with me. This is the affirmation that we'll have today, and read it out loud if you can. If you're in the hallway, that's your office. You don't have to read it out loud, but read this with me, okay? I want to be running a happy, productive child care center for everyone. I want help to ensure that every center staff member becomes a great champion to my children. A champion to your children. I want to learn how to stop bad staff behavior and cut my wasted time right now. Give me a thumbs up if you're on the same page with me with this. Is this what you're looking for? Is this what you need and desire? Okay, good. All right, we got a couple there. I know the internet's coming in slow for me today. I apologize for that. Great. All right, there we go. Okay, and I see some new people. Robin, okay, great. So let me see, here's what I think might be annoying you, and you can add to this after I read this list. Your teachers are young and inexperienced, and they really miss the mark of your expectations. Nobody seems to believe the no cell phone rule. They don't believe that rule. Maybe your staff just can't get along with one another, with parents, or with you. Everybody's always picking on them. Does your staff come late, leave early, or just not even show up at all? Or is your staff there and so unengaged that they're really just warm bodies in a room? They're definitely not giving 100%. They definitely do not understand the reason that they're there. You're in the right place if monitoring your staff has become a full-time job for you. And how many of you feel like this staff is holding you hostage? And what do I mean by that? You know, as soon as I said that, what I mean. You might not have ever used those words, but as soon as I said it, you realized it. You're afraid to address staff issues, excuse me, because you're afraid they're going to say to you, that's it, I quit. You're not going to talk to me that way. I'm out of here. I don't have to listen to you. I quit. And they're holding you hostage because you're afraid to say anything. I need to hear, what is your biggest problem? Why are you here today? What problem do you have that I might not have addressed yet? I want to address all of your own problems. So what is it? Why are you here today? What's your biggest problem? Tell me what your biggest problem is. Disrespectful staff, okay? Can you elaborate just a little bit on that, Tracy? Verbally, just in body language, mannerisms, what are they doing? Anybody else? What's your biggest? Amanda, my staff sits there and doesn't engage. Rosangela, you definitely address, okay? Annie, finding the route to motivate staff, okay? Kate, we just went through a tough time over the last few months, and I actually had to let 4 people go. Now our staff are doing better, but they're still having trouble getting along with one another, okay? Shannon, biggest problem is they don't listen. I tell them what they need to do, example, dress code, and they don't believe you, Shannon. They don't believe they have to do that. Alexander's staff's not engaged with the children or not doing their job to the best of their ability. Tracy said they know what's expected of them, but when they don't do what they're supposed to be doing, you speak to them and they get attitudes and throw it back at you. Okay, we're definitely going to talk about that, Tracy. Some staff have a hard time working together as a team. Okay, I'm going to address that for sure too. Okay, next question. Biggest question I'm going to ask you today. What has stopped you from putting an end to these problems? Do you not know how to do it? Are you afraid to do it? Do you not have support from other people? Do you not want the drama, or are you too timid? You're not confident in how to do it. What is the reason you haven't stopped it until today? Come on, fess up. Help me out here. Why haven't you addressed it until today? Because I'm telling you, when we get off of this webinar, you're going to know how to address some things. So Tracy says, I've tried telling them over and over again. Okay? So you're trying. They're not listening. Amanda, too busy engaging the kids and don't know how to teach the staff to engage. Shannon, fear of staff quitting. Okay. Anybody else want to chime in on this? We have an odd organization structure, and sometimes it feels like I'm stepping on the site director's toes. I think I faced some of these issues head on with staff, and that led to terminations and made things tense. Absentees, moving staff around, that makes other staff unhappy. Okay. They listen for a while and go back to the original behavior. Confrontation, and I feel they don't care at times. Okay, all right, I got it. And if you want to keep adding, that's fine. Okay, just for a second, think back to when you first decided you were going to become an early childhood professional. Put on these rose-colored glasses and let's remember your vision of what this profession would be. Do you remember when you were first starting out, maybe you were a teacher's aide or a student teacher or whatever the term is, and you sat there and you watched the lead teacher or the owner or the director or whatever doing what they were doing, and you sat back and your arms were kind of folded and you said, that's not the right way to do it. I could do it better. Why isn't she doing it this way? And now you're in that position. And yeah, they're sitting back there saying, why aren't you doing it this way? But when you were at that time, did you expect being an early childhood professional would make you feel excited to go to work? Were you planning to make a difference in children's lives? Did you think that this job would let you be creative? Because if there's one thing that runs through all of our blood, it's being creative, isn't it? Doesn't matter if you get a scrap of paper, a musical note, a piece of clay, we're creative. Did you envision this job as being able to help parents to teach their children? Because you know what? When their children are born, they don't get a book on how to raise them. We go to school for years and years and know what makes children tick. Did you envision that you would be helping parents to know how to teach their children? And certainly did you think you would be working with others who had the same vision as you? Did I hit it on the head right? Is this what you envisioned when you went into the profession? Good, good. Me too. Me too. Thought it would be a lot easier, didn't we? Thought it would be a lot easier. Then the reality hit. You get the big job. The world has changed. People has changed. And a disconnect has occurred. And Tracy just says, I feel like staff has sucked the life out of me. It's really, really hard. And you don't deserve to be in this position. You have a big job. You have a big responsibility to these children. And we don't want that to happen. We don't want you to be disillusioned. We don't want you to leave. We don't want you to give up. And we don't want you to be unhappy and have to be swimming upstream every single day. So my goal for you and your goal for you is to get back to what you envisioned for your children, your families, and yourself when you entered this profession. I'm going to help you see why staff cause problems begin. I'm going to give you some steps on stopping the problems And I want you to decide that you are ready to stop this and get results right away. You're ready. You've had enough. You're going to learn how to do it right so it's not painful for you or for them, and you're going to get results. So I'm going to show you things that are easy to do. You'll get fast results. When you get results, you'll have more time to do the things you want to do with children, with programming. I'm going to show you how to change the dynamic in your center. And I'm going to show you how to change your center into a win-win-win-win philosophy. Okay? That's a lot on my plate. Remember, this is only a 1-hour webinar. This is not ongoing training unless you choose for it to be. So I can't work miracles, but I can certainly get you started on the path and let you see what can happen. First of all, I want you to know, as you do here, you're not alone. Every leader has similar problems. Every leader has staff or employee problems. Every leader has parent or customer problems. Every leader has time problems. Bill Gates has time problems. Oprah has time problems. Every leader has time problems. And some leaders early on have leadership problems. So all leaders struggle at some point. But when I began to do research for this topic for you, I realized and found out that every child care center does not have staff problems. Everyone doesn't. Most do, but not everyone. So then I said, what differentiates? What makes most centers have staff problems, but not all? And that's what I'm going to share with you today. First, I want to give you 3 secrets of success. Okay? These are my secrets for you. I have this diagram posted right on my computer. I look at it every single day. Lots of us, including me, many times have thought that if I come up with a good idea, a good plan, and I implement that plan, zoom to success. It's going to work right the first time, right out the gate. Reality is that success is like a wet spaghetti noodle. You have some success at the beginning, then you have some setbacks, then you move forward, then you slide a little bit backwards, you go sideways to find your way again, up, down, up, down, up, down. Eventually, look, there is an arrow. If you keep at it, if you continue to learn, if you continue to get support, you will reach success. But don't get frustrated and quit because you're thinking it's the diagram on the left, because remember, success is really like wet spaghetti. Put that in your head. Success is wet spaghetti. I believe that in every center there are 4 stakeholder groups: children, parents, staff, you. And a great center philosophy is everything that you as the leader does will be a win for the children, a win for the parents, a win for the staff, and a win for you. And I can tell you, if you implement after this webinar, you say, oh, I've got a great idea, I'm going to go change this rule. And you don't ask yourself if every one of these stakeholder groups wins. Now remember, I said groups, not every parent's going to win, not every staff member is going to win. But if these, you can't say, yes, the group wins to your new policy, then you're going to have a big rub. You can't have 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4. All 4 groups have to be winners with your policies and procedures for it to work. Otherwise, you've got 25% of your group working against you, or 50%. This is the chart you should use when you're creating something new or editing or fixing something. Does everybody win? And here's a big one. There are staff dynamics. Think back when you were in their position. You were one of the people rumbling about, I don't like this, I don't like that. Staff dynamics is that group mentality about what works and what doesn't work. You, to be successful, have to understand that there is a dynamic in staff as a group and that there's a process to change staff dynamics. It's a wet spaghetti noodle process, but there is a process. Now, I know I'm going to cover a lot of information for you today, but if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you this great tip sheet. We'll tell you how to get it. It's sort of a little bit of everything I'm giving you on this webinar. So, I told you at the beginning I would have 4 keys to getting difficult staff members to cooperate. And you know, after I did all my advertising and I used this title, I thought to myself, cooperate? Is that good enough? Do I want my staff to just cooperate? Sort of like be there and be sort of a lump, and if I tell them what to do, they do it, but they don't do anything on their own. They don't have a positive attitude. They're not productive. They don't think for themselves. And I said, no way. I'm going to make this about making staff members productive and positive. Is that what you want? Do you want productive and positive instead of just cooperative? Okay, keep that as your goal. Keep that in mind. That's what we're going for. Thank you, Annie. Definitely. Amen, Tracy. Okay. All right. So, key number 1. And don't take time to write all this stuff down. Just think and listen. You can watch this again and write stuff down if you really need to. Key number 1 is choose the best people to be your co-workers. Now, don't get excited if I'm saying choose the best, because I know you already have a building full of people. That's okay. That's okay. Unfortunately, there's going to be turnover. One article I read the other day said as much as 40% turnover in 3 years. There is going to be turnover. You're going to be choosing new people. But I'm also going to tell you how to go back to the basic, go back to the beginning with the people that you have. And I use the word coworkers because, once again, you're spending more time with these people, more awake time, than you do with your own family, probably, and certainly more than you spend with your best friends. So, what do you do to choose the best? Well, I'm a big gardener. I live to garden. I have plants in my office, I have plants in my house, and I can't wait till spring. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, by the way. And when spring comes, I can't wait to get to the garden center and buy some hanging baskets. And anybody who goes with me is just totally frustrated because I might spend over an hour choosing 2 perfect baskets. Now, I'm a pretty quick decision maker, so this is way out of sync with what I usually do. But I want these baskets to be perfect, and I look at them from every angle. Just keep this picture in mind. When you choose the best, make sure you have a clear, detailed job description. You know what the job description is. The person that you're interviewing knows what the job description is. For that matter, the people who are working for you know what the job description is. I knew exactly what I was looking for in a hanging basket. Number 2, advertise in the right places. Now, every time I say this, people will say to me, well, I don't have any money to advertise. Well, you're going to get real lucky if the only place you advertise is a handwritten flyer where you tear off the phone number at the bottom and you post it at the grocery store bulletin board. Okay? There are many websites out there. Indeed, for example, that let you post for free. Yes, there is a fee if you want them to do super duper job, but at the entry level, it's free and it gets you a lot of visibility among professionals, particularly the younger people. Third, be able to offer your applicants a great place to work, continued professional growth, and empowerment. You're going to empower them as an adult working in a profession. You know, what you have to remember is not only are you choosing them, they're choosing you. If they have one interview at one center, they probably have 5 at 5 different centers. That's how many vacancies there are out there. So remember, they're choosing you as well as you're choosing them. You're going to look at their resume, you're going to look at their application, but is that going to tell you, are they going to put anywhere on either of those places how often you're going to have to yell at them to get off the cell phone? How often you're going to have to say to them, what do you mean you're calling off again? What do you mean you have to leave early? Why can't you get along with these other staff members? And that's why you have to go to the references. Even if somebody worked for McDonald's, that supervisor will tell you whether they came to work, whether they worked well, whether they were courteous to the customer, whether you had to yell at them about the cell phone. Those are as important or more important than the application itself. So my key number 1 for you is choose and create the very best team. Look for great, engaged, energized staff. And remember that the whole reason you're hiring them, the whole reason you have a center, is so that you can help children grow and flourish. If during that interview, that applicant has never mentioned the word child, I love children, I like working with children, that's not the person for you. Okay, that's a big red flag. Wait for them to tell you about how much they love children. Key number 2, train and nurture staff so that they can be successful. How many of you train your staff for at least a week when they join you, even if they've had prior experience? Tracy, yes? Who else? Anybody else? Annie, okay. Anybody else? Okay. Kimberly, all right. And I can't read that, too tiny, but somebody else does. Thank you. So it's really important that you train and nurture staff so that they can be successful. Because when you train them, first of all, they're going to know how you want it done. And then they're going to feel more confident in what you're asking them to do. So say you hire somebody that's had 10 years experience at another center. They're still going to be a little tentative, a little concerned about what they're doing because they don't know if it's the way you want it to be done. Don't assume just because they have experience that it was good experience or the kind of experience you want. When you train and nurture your staff, children are the benefactors. They receive more care and better care. Back to my garden thought, all of you have to grow in the same direction. You and your staff have to have the same goals, and the children better be the common goal, not who looked at who didn't show up, who was on their phone, who got in a fight with a parent. The children. That's the goal that you're all growing. Okay. I'm going to suggest that training goes on in your center every single week. Not you pull staff aside and sit them down in a training session, but you create a program where staff is trained every single week in something. And I'm going to tell you about the value of cross-training your staff so that they can motivate, they can support, they can coach one another. Here's an example. Mary is working with babies. She's changing diapers. She puts a child on the changing table. The child is laughing and giggling before she gets to the table. Mary pulls that diaper off, cleans that child impeccably, gets a new diaper on in 45 seconds, and both of them are laughing and giggling the same time. Shouldn't everybody in a child care center know how to do a diaper change like that? Wouldn't that be better for you if Mary was able to show them instead of you? Because Mary's going to feel great about it. And Mary does it well. And she's going to feel good, and others are going to see that you are applauding her for her work, and you're going to applaud them for their work. It sets a whole new dynamic when you let staff train one another. It gives you the opportunity to be able to move people around if they're cross-trained in skills. Here's another example. Nancy works with the 2-year-olds. Nancy can tell 10 minutes before a child starts a tantrum. She just knows that look. She knows that body language. She knows it's coming. Don't you want everybody in your center to know before a tantrum comes? Shouldn't Nancy train everybody in your center about that? Won't Nancy feel like a star that she's shown people how to see, how to pick up on the fact that a tantrum's about to break out? It's all about growing your staff in their confidence, in their self-esteem, letting them teach one another. This is what builds teams. We have to remember that people learn at different speeds and in different manners. You can sit and lecture to people. Some of them will get it. All of them will say they did, but that's not really the case. You and I can go to a lecture, love what it said, agree with everything the instructor said, decide you're going to do it as soon as you get out of the classroom, and you cross that doorstep and half of it's gone. And 2 hours later, 2/3 of it's gone. So just saying, yes, we're going to do this, yes, I understand, doesn't mean you learned. We need to create safe learning environments for everybody. We need to be able as learners to go back to the instructor and say, you know, while I was in your class, it made sense, but I forget now. What you said was so true. I forget exactly how you did it, how you told me to do it. Make that safe learning environment. By the way, you'll notice that when I'm teaching, as I've been teaching so far, I use verbal instruction because you're listening. I use visual instruction, not only in writing, but also in pictures. Some of you learn better when you read a lot of words on a slide. Some of you are just listening to me. Some of you are doing both. Some of you will remember the flowers I show you in this more than any words I said. You're being interactive, and that increases your learning ability, your retention significantly. And continual feedback, like I'm going to ask you right now to fill out the survey at the end of this webinar, helps you to be a better instructor every time you do a new instruction. So keep these things in mind about learning. Okay, back to my flowers. Well, here's the deal. I put one at my front door and one at my back door. I go out my back door every day. Guess which one that is? The one on the right. And I dump a glass of water in the pot. I don't go out the front door very often, maybe on a Saturday or Sunday, and I don't always have a glass of water in my hand. If you have droopy staff members, maybe it's because they're not being watered and fertilized on a regular basis. We need to train and nurture our staff so that they're not floppy flowers. Now, what about those people that have been there for a long time? They've been an employee of yours for 15 years, and they're just getting worse and worse instead of better. If you've ever gone out in the garden and you see after the winter or after a long hot summer, a lot of dead branches and just a few leaves and no flowers, you know that if you cut that plant back to where it's green in the stems, you can let that grow and nurture and flourish again if you nurture it, water, fertilize, etc. So you're going to need to cut the staff back to what they're really doing well. Praise them for those 2 or 3 things they're really doing well. Watch them learning to do the next thing right and praise them, praise them, praise them. This is what I hope you're going to see in the next couple of months. You're going to walk through the door, and this is going to be what your staff looks like. a whole wall full of in bloom, smiling at you roses. That's your goal. So number 2, train and nurture your staff so that they understand and fulfill your mission of helping children and parents. Key number 3, understand the value of empowering your staff. Create a win-win partnership. How many of you say that you right now appropriately empower your staff? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you now appropriately empower your staff? Okay, 1 yes, 1 no, 2 no's. 2 yes, we're 2 to 2. 8, I don't know. Okay. Sometimes, Annie, okay? Shannon, I don't think so. All right, so let me tell you why this is important. Our staff has a skill. It's a skill. It might not be great, but it's a skill. We need to do things to enhance that skill, make it better, make it stronger. Once their skill is a little bit stronger, we enable them to do it on their own more and more and grow that skill. Growing their skills engages them more in what they're doing. Once they're more engaged, they become more empowered. The more engaged you are in something, the more you start to take ownership of it, the more you feel like it's your job, and not only your job, your responsibility, and you take pride in that. That's why we want to empower. So I'm going to say something to you that you're going to roll your eyes when I say this, when you read this. I believe that every staff member can be a leader of something in your center. You can empower every single staff member to be a leader of something in your center for some period of time. And your center will definitely benefit if everybody has a leader position. I'm not saying they're the leader. I'm saying they are a leader. And I want you to think of the person that you're thinking of right now that whines the most, complains the most, gives you the most trouble. Write that person's name down on your paper, not on the screen, on your paper. And I'm going to suggest to you that you make this person that whines the most, can always find faults in everything. This person is now going to become your safety leader. And you ask this person to get to your center the earliest in the morning every day. You give her or him a clipboard with a checklist on it. And you say, please go through the center and check for safety, for the safety of every one of us in this center. And they'll go around and they'll see the Windex was left out. The bread wrapper isn't on tight. There's a crayon by the heater. Somebody hung up their hat instead of their coat in this spot. Somebody's tote is overflowing. Blah, 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 blah. And you'll get 25 pages back. And what you do is smile and say, oh my goodness, thank you so much for pointing these out and helping us to be a safe center for every child and every adult in it. Please do it again tomorrow to make sure we will still be safe. What's going to happen over a period of not very much time is that you're going to get less than 25 pages and less than 20, and you're going to get down to eventually 1 or 2 pages. And you're going to have that staff member feel so good about being a leader that they're going to put the Windex away and not say anything. They're not going to care about the bread wrapper. It's tight enough. They'll pick up the crayon because it's not that big of a deal. But they feel like a leader. And you have taken that person that is like a eagle eye at finding problems and put that talent to good use. What do you think of that? Kate likes that. Good. Give it a try. Now, if you got a lot of whiny people, then this leader position has to rotate. You have to give it to one person for at least 2 months, and then you give it to another person for 2 months. And tell them, Deborah, you're saying the others will become spiteful. Tell them that you, excuse me, that you have learned about having a win-win-win center, and that as part of your new philosophy, you're going to give every one of them an opportunity to be a leader. And it's going to be on a rotating basis, and maybe, I'm sure you can come up with 15 different leader positions. So they'll rotate through those leader positions. And maybe they won't always be a leader, but their turn will be coming up. That's what you need to make sure you let them know. Their turn is coming. I believe that staff is disruptive for these reasons. They're bored. Clearly they're bored. If they're not engaging with the kids, they're bored. And if you're saying to them, go play with the kids, you're supposed to be playing with the kids. Playing does not tell them what the value of playing is. You need to tell them what skills they're trying to solicit in the children and build in the children. They lack that connection of what they're doing and why they're doing it. Maybe you have people that are jealous. I change diapers all day long and the 4-year-old teacher gets to go on field trips. That just isn't fair. Well, have you explained to the diaper changing people that they are the absolute rock stars, foundations of your center? That most of the growth of a child's brain takes place in those first 2 years, and that they are the ones that you count on to give the very best foundation. And they shouldn't just be sitting there watching children sleep and giving bottles. They should be talking to them, reading to them, building their large muscles, letting them play with one another a little bit, see one another, explore one another. Maybe your staff has poor self-esteem. Even if they're doing everything right, they still could have poor self-esteem. It's up to us. If you take the job as leader, you take the big hat, you take the big check, you've got to motivate your staff. Maybe they're frustrated because they just don't know how to do something. And again, it's up to us. I believe that instead of giving less work to an unmotivated staff member, you should give more. You need to challenge them. You need to engage them by giving them the reasons that they're doing it. Don't just say, I need you to do this. Say, I need you to do this because when you do this, this is the result. And what if you say to them, I'm going to count on you, Kate, to do this. I'm going to count on you, Shannon, to help this child get over this hump. I'm going to count on you, Amanda, to work with Nancy to get this job done. That word count on gives you a whole different feeling. Learn from your people. Go and say, oh my, you're really doing that well. I want to see how you do this. Make sure you say, I really like how you're doing this before you say, I want to see how you're doing this. Remember, compliment them first and then watch. I don't care if you could do it 10 times better. Build up their self-esteem. Engage them. When we empower our staff, they take more ownership. They feel more responsible. They feel better about themselves. And guess who wins? The children. Just be careful because empowering is powerful. You need to give people the limits of what they're to do. You can go this far, but don't go this far. You don't want to tell people they're empowered, but they don't go far enough because they don't want to go over the edge. They don't want to go over their boundaries. And you don't want to not tell the people where boundaries are because, believe me, they will go over their boundaries if you don't say, this is the parameter that I want you to stay in. So that's my third key. Empower your staff so that you, children, parents, and the other staff get the best of them. And number 4, be an incredible leader. Incredible. That's what I want for you. Incredible. You need to lead everybody in your child care center. If you don't know what it is to be an incredible leader, if you don't feel like you are, if you want some more ideas on incredible leader, we have a free webinar. I don't know if any of you have taken it yet, but I would say, first of all, it's my favorite one to do. It's called Being an Incredible Leader. What would be different in your center if you were an incredible leader? It's a free webinar just like this one. And I will go out on a limb and say, I believe that once you attend that, it will change your professional outlook forever. Forever. An incredible leader doesn't do this every day. There will be days when you will walk out feeling like you chased your tail all day long, but that should be few and far between. An incredible leader is really someone who leads, not bosses. That, excuse me, is so important for you to know the difference between that. Let's say you're walking down the hall, you're not really going anywhere, you're just walking through the building, and you see a child, a little 3-year-old who has soiled herself. Do you stand there and yell for some other staff member to come and take care of her? Or do you take that child into the restroom and clean her up? A leader takes the child herself. Now, whichever one you do, everybody in the center is going to be talking about it. Did you see our director? She cleaned that child up herself. Did you see our director? She called for somebody else to do that. I guess she thinks she's better than the rest of us. It's up to you to choose to be a leader over a boss. Incredible leaders empower their staff to share in the important work. You use your time wisely by giving jobs to other people. You're a strategic thinker and you engage at higher level. When you do this, there's more time for you to do the things we talked about earlier. So that's key number 4. Be an incredible leader. Lead so that everybody is a winner. So why did you come here today? And have you been trying to do this on your own and missing the mark? Didn't know how, didn't do it well, were afraid to do it, hadn't thought of ways to do it, just didn't have time to do it, were at wit's end, but you know that this needs to be addressed. You know it. What would your center be like if you didn't have to worry about staff turnovers and ratios? That you never appeared weak to your staff or to parents because you weren't facing down the people causing the trouble? What would you be like if your stress levels were significantly lower? Imagine that. It's like going to the spa, isn't it? So right now, it's time for you to choose a path. How are you going to address difficult staff? I want you to choose a path that's easy to follow and gives you quick results. Otherwise, you'll get frustrated and quit. It has to be personalized to your needs. I'm going to give you an example of that. Sometimes I want to know how to do something in QuickBooks. I don't want to go take a 6-week class and have the instructor say, you'll learn about what you want to know in week 3. I want to learn it right now. And that's the kind of training that you need. What do you need to know right now because you already know a lot of it? And I want the long-term goal of your path to be that you're creating great team members in your center. How do you make this work? The number one thing that will make or break you is the attitude that you can do this with a solid plan and professional guidance. If you don't believe you can do this, if you don't have a great plan, you know what happens. It just becomes another thing on the list. Here's a to-do and a not to do. Do stop wasting your precious time and the children's time on staff problems. Do stop being held hostage by fear of staff quitting. You can still fear that they'll quit. Don't be held hostage. And don't wait. Doing nothing is really sliding backwards. Tell me right now what happens What has happened? What do you know will happen when you do nothing about a staff problem? What happens? It gets worse. You're right, Kate. Tracy, you're right. Not only does the one person who's doing the bad behavior get worse and stronger and more confident in what he or she can do wrong, other staff start to see you as weak, and they'll start to do that same bad behavior. They take down others. You're right, Deborah. And then parents look at you and they say, wow, she's really weak. I thought she was the leader of this center. And then maybe they're going to start breaking the rules. So don't wait. The cost of not fixing difficulties in your center is incredible. It's ratios, it's state sanctions, it's parents being concerned, and it's you just being under stress and maybe not even wanting to go anymore. So tell me right now, how important is this for you to fix so that everybody in your center wins? Type in, pick one of these. Tracy, very. Kate, very. Shannon, top priority. Okay. Top, Kate, okay. Anybody else? Alexandra, top. Good. Annie, important. Rosangela, top. All right. I think we're on the same page. We see how important it is, what it's messing up by us not doing it, and what we can do to improve it. I'd like to invite you to work with me. I have answers for you. I can help you get through this. I am a teacher, but it's a bonus for you because I was also trained to be a facilitator of learning. Now, what's the difference? A teacher teaches the lesson, gives a test, there's a bell curve. Some get an A, some get a C, a lot get a C, and some get an F. Teacher's job's done. I'm a facilitator of learning. I will never stop working with you until you get it. I will keep working with you until you are successful. You will have access to me and access to our community. This might not be a 1 month fix. It might not be a 2 month fix. It might take years and then new problems will come up. But I am here to facilitate your learning. And I'm here for it to be a systemic change. Not a Band-Aid, not a lot of Band-Aids, because we know as soon as you take a shower, the Band-Aids come off, right? You don't want to be putting Band-Aids on every day of your life. You want systemic change so that you can move into that area of not having a problem. So if this is something that's of interest to you and you need some help, and I've created this action package called Developing and Maintaining a Great Staff Team. And this is a comprehensive package for you for systemic change. It has things in it that you can do right away. It has step-by-step actions. It has long-term things you can do. It gives you the individual coaching that you need. So included in this package, an easy to follow roadmap on your time schedule. There is no time, there's a suggested time schedule so it keeps you moving, giving you a little nudge, but we're going to work on your time schedule. There's an introductory video. There's a staff analysis package I put in there where you can look to see who your staff is, who you want your staff to be, and what changes you need to make to get your staff where you want them. I've had so many people say to me, I wish I'd have seen this yesterday. I just did a staff analysis and I wish I'd have had this package to do it with. There will be 3 modules with live webinars and 3 success trackers. Those are your own personal quizzes. So we start out with an introduction, and this is called Developing Your Staff Plan. What is it that you're looking for in a staff? What do you need? What do you already have? What's the roadmap you're to follow? And you can see it looks just like this. It's a checklist for you. It's 1 page, and it's baby steps. Baby steps. There are articles for you to read. there are activities for you to do, and there are the webinars, which are the most important, where we have live conversations. They're not exactly like this. They're more just a few people, because I only take 6 people at a time for these. So you'll be live. You'll have your face on the screen if you want to. We'll hear your voices. You'll be able to ask questions of me and of the other people working on the module at the same time. So we'll be talking about your problems, your issues, your fixes. Module 1 is starting out right with staff. Again, articles, webinar, tip sheets. Module 2, stopping unwanted behaviors, stopping them dead in their tracks. What do you say? How do you say it? How do you plan for it? How do you know if you're successful? What do you do? What do you do to make this person feel like you're the best boss you ever could have been? And module 3 is empowering your staff. If you haven't done that yet, or if you've done it a little and should be doing more, this will show you how to do it. Now, again, I can only take 6 people at a time, but if you want to get on the waiting list, that's all right. This is for people who are really, really ready to tackle this problem right now and know that you can't wait any longer. As you hear, there's a lot of time involved with this for me, and so there's a big value on this package. But I'm going to make this package even better for you. And I'm going to give you 5 tip sheets as a bonus. These are 5 very comprehensive tip sheets for you to have. And I'm also, and that's what they look like, I'm also going to give you a 1-year membership, paid membership to your center success. You'll get all of the benefits of, we have a live weekly call-in, we have private Facebook group 24/7. I give you 5 leadership recorded webinars right away as soon as you join. We do big surveys from our whole membership monthly. You get the results of that. You've probably participated in some of those, but we give those results to the members. So for example, we did one a month ago, I think, on staff training, and had close to 700 people write in and tell us what they do about staff training. And you would have access to those 700 answers. I know that money is an issue for all of you, so I've priced this, I believe, where everybody can afford this, and it's only $199. You can make this in 4 installment payments. Because I said that it's important for every one of you to be successful who takes this training, I also give you live coaching before and after all 4 of the webinars. That's 8 coaching sessions that are included with this package. Don't think you'll find that very often. So if you're asking, how can I get staff to follow the rules? We're going to show you step by step. What type of time commitment is expected? It is a time commitment. I won't sugarcoat it. It's going to take some time. It's not going to ask you to shut your center down for 2 weeks and just do this course. It's going to be reasonable at your speed, whatever you can handle. How do I fix the problems when I have so much drama? Well, we start fixing them one problem at a time, new techniques, new focuses, one at a time. If you don't know if you're able to do this, if you're timid, you definitely need to do this, because they're walking all over you and they know it. And if they're just not on board with it, well, now you're going to separate those who want a win-win situation and those who don't. The ones who don't are going to be the ones that you want to give extra care and attention to. Cut them back to the green spot in their stem. You definitely will need knowledge, guided practice, motivation, coaching, encouragement, and I'm here to give that to you. I would love to see you be able to walk around your center with this mug. Can you imagine that? Can you feel like it? So, what differentiates? Here's what differentiates. Success is not a mystery. It's a plan. It's a plan. And that's what they'll tell you. They planned for success. What they didn't know how to do, they learned. They got help. They asked for help. Ellen's going to send you a link in a second. I guess she already did. And she's also going to send you an email to tell you how to get the tips, how to watch this webinar again as a recorded webinar. I am always available to you by email. I answer my own email. Here's my phone number. And I promise that I would answer all of your questions. What questions do you have? What can I answer for you? If you're on the fence about this package, about getting more training, what issues do you have? What can I help you with? Tell me why you would be on the fence. Okay. Ready for some questions. Ready for some responses. I will not hang up until you all tell me you're leaving. So I don't want to hang up on anybody. I know it takes a minute or so to type a question in. Tracy, thank you. Kate, thank you. Deborah, good. I would love to work with you. I would love to help you make your team one that the other centers envy. Okay, good, Tracy. Annie, good. We're going to send you an email, so make sure you read it. Make sure you get the tip sheet. Shannon, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody have questions for me? Does this seem to make sense to you? That this is what's missing with your staff? Rosangela, you're welcome. Okay, so in the meantime, make sure you go to my website. Make sure you go and get the free things that are on the website. Read the blogs. Get the free tip sheets. Look at signing up for this action package. Look at signing up for a membership and see what a bargain it is. It is a huge bargain, believe me. And look to see when our other free webinars are coming up. Thanks, Annie. Thanks, Amanda. All right, anybody else? Okay. All right, well, excuse me. It's really hard to talk for an hour or more nonstop. You have a wonderful day too. Bye.